Hello and welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Len Gobeil. The Center for Disease Control has designated that September 23rd will be National Falls Prevention Day. We spoke this morning on Barnstable this morning with our Director of Senior Services, Madeline Noonan, and we discussed how to prevent falls in our homes. Let's take a look now at what Madeline Noonan had to say about Falls Prevention Day in Barnstable.
Well, I thought this would be a nice topic today because tomorrow, September 23rd, is actually National Falls Prevention Day. It's scheduled to coincide with the first day of fall each year, and many states honor this, awareness. It really is a campaign to raise awareness of the risks that falls pose. Not just to the older population. Any of us are at risk of falling any day. There are so many hazards out there. But the interesting thing about falls is that they are largely preventable. I can tell you that in 2008, almost 20,000 older adults died from unintentional fall injuries. I mean, that's actually quite staggering in terms of, thinking of a number of people that this impacts. Over 2.2 million injuries resulted from older people falling, and of those 2.2 million, over 581,000 were hospitalized, and then unfortunately 20,000 of those, folks unfortunately passed away. So I think it's although all of us are at risk of falling, it really does increase as we age, and we can talk about the different reasons for that. But each year, the statistics show that 1 in every 3 adults over 65 will have a fall.
I'm looking at the information that you sent to us via email yesterday, and let's talk first about floors.
Right.
You think people will fall just because they're going up or down the stairs, but that's not necessarily true, is it?
No, that's one of the main preventive factors in reducing the number of falls is for people to make sure that their homes, the places that they frequent, are safe and clear. So one of the most important things you can do to make your home safe is make sure that the pathways that you walk through, the main areas, the high traffic areas in your home, hallways, for example, moving from one room to another, stairways, are clear and free of anything that, people can put down, books or magazines, rugs, clothes, baskets of laundry, whatever, might be in the way. You want to make sure that you minimize, anything that's blocking access to and from areas of your home, as well as making sure if you have stairs in your home, be it, you have 2 floors or you're going down to your basement, that you have handrails in place on both sides, just to give you that extra, safety measure, that you can hold on to something. And I actually know of some seniors that I've met during my time at the senior center that because they, were aging and it was their mobility was decreasing, it was hard for them to get down to the basement where their laundry was, that they actually had, a plumber come in and, plumb everything upstairs so they could bring their laundry upstairs so that they didn't have to, navigate stairs, because it can become tricky as people age.
Now, we've done a pretty good job, I think, in terms of advertising and public relation about telling people not to put wires or cords across your floor or under the carpet, but people still do that, don't they?
Well, you know how it is, Glenn. You can give people advice and give them good tips and whatnot. It really is up to that individual whether or not to put that into their daily lives. We have a lot of information on falls prevention at the senior center. People can come in. You saw the resources I sent you that are full of information. There's tons of information online that you can find some tips that you can use, and we are all about helping people. In fact, one of the most important things you can do in your home is installing grab bars, in your bathroom, helping you in and out of the tub, non-slip mats in your tub, just to prevent that slippage, and improving lighting. It may seem like a very simple thing to say, but as our vision decreases as we age, we need more lighting, and so that's something that people can just make sure that they are using brighter bulbs. And rugs are a huge risk. I can speak to this from experience because I know folks that I've met in here that have tripped in their homes over area rugs. So make sure that if you do have rugs that they're secured to the floor, because if you don't secure them, they can they can, be a slipping hazard as well.
Sure. And I'm sure a lot of people get into habits in their homes, and one of the habits may be a broken stair, and you know that you've got a broken stair somewhere. The third step up I know is broken, and every time I walk up or down, I'll be careful about when I get to that step. I got to make sure that I am extra careful. But there will be those times when people forget that, and so if somebody's got a broken step, a broken stair, it should be fixed.
Well, I mean, I think, we sort of tend to think that our homes are the safe, where we feel the most safe. We don't think of our homes as being a risk that could actually, cause life-threatening injuries or even our lives. And I think that's something that, we just really need to emphasize the importance that, in order to minimize your risk of falling, you need to ensure that your home is safe. So, that's where we recommend that people may have, somebody with a fresh set of eyes come in, because the things that we may take for granted and not notice, somebody who would, maybe a relative or a friend or a neighbor could come in and just, do a walkthrough and sort of, make you aware of potential hazards. We also talk about, in your kitchen, making sure that things that we don't want people having to, to climb up on, on the chair to reach something. Things that you use more frequently, keep them at a level where you can, easily reach. Check your step stool. Sometimes step stools become a little wobbly and unstable over time. So make sure that that's something, that you can trust, that is sturdy.
And, of course, the place that is frequently the most dangerous is always the bathroom.
Yes.
People take a shower or get out of the shower. Or sometimes the water leaks over, and there's could be a little bit of water on the floor, and people can fall and slip on that.
I think I think if somebody's mobility does decline to that point where it's hard for them to step over into a standard tub, that there are there are so many things now that can help people. For example, like walk-in tubs that you can. There's no threshold. You just go right in. So it's worth doing research. To find out things that may be more safe for you to use in your home. But then there are other things that people can do. If people are interested, we have a home safety checklist that was prepared by the Centers for Disease Control. It's excellent. It goes through each room in your home. It's a little checklist to make sure that everything is safe. Anybody can come in here and request a copy of that. But some of the other important things are, we kind of touched on this, the importance of your vision. We do see a deterioration in eyesight as we age, and there are other issues like cataracts and glaucoma that can affect our vision, and that's something that making sure that you're having your eyes checked at least once a year by your eye doctor, and make sure that your glasses are strong enough to help, because poor vision is one of the contributing factors to falls. We also talk about the importance of medication. Many older adults are taking multiple medications that may have interactions that can cause drowsiness and loss of balance. So we want to make sure that your physicians are aware. It's something that you need to check frequently with your doctor and make sure that it's safe to take all these medications together and any potential side effects. And really, I believe one of the most important things that you can do is continue to be active. That really, I can't stress that enough, the importance of regular exercise. We do see that as we age, we do see a loss in muscle tone and balance, and exercise can really help build that strength that I've witnessed to here myself, that we've seen people fall, that are active at the senior center. And, we see people that, are healthy and fit and active and take, exercise classes. They seem to recover a lot better than people who are not active when they have a fall. So I think that is just really important. And we have so many exercises here at the Senior Center, as you know, that help people, get fit, stay active, particularly exercises like Tai Chi that are really designed, to improve overall balance. That's something that I can't recommend enough to people.
Our Senior Services Director for giving us some wonderful information, very useful information, about how to prevent falls in our own homes. Tomorrow is Falls Prevention Day. Enjoy the day. As we look at our meetings for tonight, there is only one meeting, and that will be the Barnstable Town Council. They'll start at 7 o'clock this evening. For Barnstable Today, I'm Len Gobeil.